welcome to another Scratch series. In this series, I will be showing you how you could create an amazing shooter game in Scratch. This is episode 1 and we will be looking at the player movement and shooting. So let's get started. First, call your project as shooter game, and then after that delete the cat sprite, and then create a new sprite called player. And then I'll just create a quick player like so. I'll create a head and make sure to center your player's head, and then I'll give it some eyes like this. Then I'll duplicate it. Okay, now I'll give it some hands. Just okay, so now I'll give it some hands, pair of hands. Like this. Okay, so these are the hands. Okay. Now I'm going to create a gun like this, and then I'm going to round it off by selecting a point, and then next to that creating another point, and above that another point, and then deleting the main point. So I'm going to do the same thing in this point. Okay, I only wanted to round it off here and not here. Okay, so yeah, so take a when green flag clicked, and I want in the beginning the player should go in the center, and then forever let's make it point towards mouse pointer. So as you can see, points towards our mouse pointer. Now I wanted to move, but usually what people do is they'll take a if statement and put right arrow. If right arrow is pressed, change x by some value, and then the player can move. But that's not what I want. I guess it's time for people to learn a new moving script, which is basically change x by so take a minus sign, then do when right arrow is pressed, the minus when left arrow is pressed. So basically, if the right arrow is pressed, the value of this full block will be 1, and when left arrow is pressed, it will be minus 1. So if you check that, it works. However, the movement is very slow. So to change this, let's create a new variable called player speed for this sprite only. And then let's set the player speed to 5, and then let's multiply it by 5 player speed here, and then let's keep it here. And if the people want to use like if the user wants to use the WASD keys, then duplicate this, and then for the right arrow it's something like D, and the left arrow it's A. So as you can see, I can move using that as well. Okay, now for the uh, y-axis, like the vertical movement, we'll change y by uh, up arrow minus down arrow. And for the WASD keys, let's do W minus S. Okay, so now we have a proper player movement like this. Okay, now let's create the bullets so that the player can shoot. So create a new sprite called bullet, and then I don't want, okay, actually I need a filling. I'll just, okay, so I'm going to use this outline part here, make some golden bullet, something like this, and then I'm going to make it darker, and then I'm going to make it thick, then keep it here. Okay, so this is my bullet. So yeah, so I'm going to call, okay, it's already called. Okay, so now when the space, like when the user hits space or when the user clicks, we want the bullet to shoot, we want the player to shoot using the bullet. So let's make a new script and then check, or let's take an or statement. We'll check if mouse is down, which means if the mouse is clicked or the space key is pressed, then we'll create a clone of bullet. Make sure not to put myself, but instead do bullet. And then let's give it a delay of something like 0.3. Okay. So in the bullet sprite, we're going to be using clones. So let's hide the original sprite and then let's show the clone. And we'll go to the player and then we'll point in direction of player, and then so basically when it goes to the player, it basically goes to the face of the player and it will shoot from the face, which we don't want. So to do that, let's just move something like uh 20 35 steps. Okay, so then it will move 35 steps. Let's also go to the back layer, go to the back layer, and then we will take a forever loop and then put in speed something like 10 steps, and then if it is touching the edge, we'll just delete this clone. Also I'll make the background green, something like this, something like this. Okay, let's see if that works. Okay, so that works. Let's just increase this move steps to something like 45 steps. Okay, also I'm going to reduce the delay a bit, something like 0.2, and then 0.25. Yes. Okay, this is good. So that's the end of this episode. In episode 2, we will be adding enemies to our shooter game. So stay tuned by subscribing and leaving a like to this video. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.